I gave you a wonderful article by Gail Fitzpatrick Hopler, who does a marvelous job of talking about. Gail Fitzpatrick Hopler was the former president of Contemplative Outreach. She's retiring at the end of December, and after 33 years of service, she was Father Thomas's right-hand person. But she wrote this wonderful article, which I invite you to read at your leisure. But she asked 4 questions on the back of that, which I think are important. Can we simply say yes to be a human being? This means consenting and embracing the human condition in all its inherent goodness and weakness. So I asked you, can you simply say yes to being a human being? Well, wait, we got to respond here, okay? Can we truly say yes to being a human being? Yes. I don't hear too much enthusiasm. All right. Can we simply say yes to creatively engaging and living our lives? This means gracefully moving in our lives with a spirit of evolution and exploration, knowing we are not perfect and we will make mistakes. Did I hear a yes?
Yes.
Can you say yes to the diminishment of yourself?
No.
This is the problem. This is the problem. This means to let go and surrender into the truth of who we are in the sight of God. The consent can be engaged as we age. You know, nature right away is telling us, you're not getting any better, you're getting richer in our relationship and the understanding and the wisdom of life. John of the Cross, in a very beautiful way, keeps on saying, I don't have the text in front of me, if you want to know all, know less. If you want to have all, have less. What that means, make space for the divine to work in your life. It's not all about you, it's not all about me. You really don't diminish. What diminishes is your desire to control everything. And my desire to control everything. What is enriched is the fact that God begins to take a greater role in our lives. I like to use the example, we're called to have a conversion from American cheese to Swiss cheese. There needs to be some holes in us. We're too tightly packed and we don't leave any space for the Spirit to work in our lives. And one of the beauties of the journey, I think, is the fact that as you get older, and older could be 40, 50, 60, depending where you are on the spiritual journey, the fact is, relax and let it happen. Do what you can, but don't try to control the outcome. You can't control the outcome. All you can do is present the situation, and then it has a life of its own. And then you deal with where that is. You make important decisions. You don't become a doormat, but you leave some space, for goodness sakes. I remember when I was, and again, this is all the mind of Christ. He left space in his life. You know, when I was a baby priest, we used to go out every, at least three nights a week and had dinner at the parishioners' homes. They would invite us. It was a chance to meet the people, bless the house, sometimes celebrate liturgy there when they wanted it. This is back in the 1960s, because I'm a priest now, 56 years. And so I remember going to this house, and the meals were always very wonderful and fine. But I went to this one house, you know, where it was obvious that the word had gone out, Father's coming to dinner. Everything's going to have to be perfect. I want everybody to behave properly. The table was set out beautifully. I saw more silverware than I've ever saw in my life, for goodness sake. The meal was wonderful, but it was dead. Everybody was on their good behavior. I'm Italian. A meal is a celebration. The food is accidental. So I couldn't resist myself. See, I was a young priest then, and I wasn't into centering prayer. All right. When the little one at the end of the table asked for a roll, I did. The kids laughed, the husband half laughed, the wife did not laugh at all. So when they invited me back 3 months later, I didn't know whether I was going to be the pig roasted on the middle of the table or what have you. I was deeply touched. We had hamburgers and hot dogs, relaxed atmosphere. And they gave me a banner, which I still have 52 years later. I still have it. It hangs in my room. All right? In the middle of the banner is a roll with streaks, you know. And then it said something that I cherish. I cherish. You remind us of bread. You are life-giving. So from that wild moment of throwing a roll, it confirms something in my life. We're supposed to be life-giving. When people come in contact with us, we bring them life because of what they sense in us. Does that make sense to you? And that's the diminishment. You let go of the roll, of the proper way you're supposed to act. Notice the little nuance there. Wasn't that clever? All right. And you live who you are, a child of God, pulsating with the love of God. So can we say a yes to that? Yes. And the last question is, can we say yes to being transformed? This means allowing God to live our lives for us as us. Can we say yes to that? Yes. It's exciting when you consent. It's like an intimate relationship that's full of surprises. And we can lose sight of that sometimes. And I'm not living in la-la land. I know life is not easy and so on. But we're striving, we're running for that goal, if you would, of coming fully alive. And so the consent is that to live out our life. And as we live out that life, we live out the passion in our life. We have Palm Sundays when everything's going wonderful in our life. Everybody's cheering. We have Holy Thursdays when we sense there's a little trouble. Something's changing. All right? We have our Good Fridays with the crucifixion where we know we're being crucified. And my best example of that is a story I'll tell you in a moment. We have our Holy Saturdays when Jesus was in the tomb where we're dry. We're dry. The life of Mother Teresa blew my mind when heard about her, that in her last 40 years of her life, she only had 6 weeks of the felt presence of God. Most of her life was dry in relationship with God, but her faith was strong, her love was genuine. And I hope she's not held up as a wonderful missionary taking care of the poor and so on like that as the main lesson, or let that be one of them. But on the other hand, what a wonderful example of the spiritual journey. It's not all feelings. And so we go through our Holy Saturdays. And in a sense, as I picture it in my own mind, is a time when Jesus says, you're going to only love me when I make you feel good? You're only going to love me when I make things go your way? Don't you know I'm always there for you? Must I always be proving myself to you? Can't you finally just embrace me as I am and take me for better or for worse, rich or poor, or sickness and health? That's an important step. And we have our Easters when all of a sudden we've gone through situations, and it comes together because we're open. We're allowing it to come together many times and not insisting on our pound of flesh in a situation. And then we have our ascensions, if you would, where somehow you just kind of rise out of yourself, you know, and you sense there's something more to you than just what's happening. That's the best way I can describe what that consent leads to. And Jesus experienced this. This is part of the mind of Christ. When that connectedness is there, but you have to be aware. You have to wake up to what's going on. Too many people live on just the surface level of awareness. They're just aware of what's happening day in and day out, day in and day out. They never go deeper. And the going deeper is not just trying to have some psychological breakthrough of any sort. The growing deeper is the fact that when you're consenting, in the example of centering prayer, you're letting go. You're letting go of your own agenda during that period of time so that you can be open to hear something more, that you be open to be more in touch with the emotions that are going on in your life, that you might be more open to be in touch with the spiritual side of your life, of all the ways God has, in a certain sense, kissed you during a day because of how something happened. You know, and that doesn't always have to be good stuff. Sometimes it can be embarrassing stuff. Let's be honest, some of our best lessons are learned when we're embarrassed, when we got our foot in our mouth, when we're flying high. That's terrific, you know. Thank you, God. You know, here I am, you know, doing well, you know. But that's not the test. It's to take the blow, if you would, you know. I've been kidding with my priest friends, saying to them, at my Mass, I won Frank Sinatra's song, I did it his way. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? Not your way or my way. I did it his way. I think you listen to that song, you know, and put his way there or God's way there. You hear what I'm saying? Boy, does that power. There's that one particular phrase, there were times when you knew I bit off more than I could chew, but through it all, I did it his way. My God, isn't that a wonder? I get excited about it, excuse me. Let me take a drink of water on that one. But that's what I'm talking about. You know, this is part of that wonderful consenting that goes on. And Jesus said, you know, I did it your way, Dad. You know, there were times when you knew I bit off more than I can chew, Dad. But through it all, I stood tall and I did it your way, Pop. That just touches me so deeply, that aspect of it. That's the mind of Christ. You know, consenting.